Everyone wants to know what to do to get your ducks in a row financially if you're thinking about divorce. It's a hard question because you need to keep earning and supporting your family in the same way that you have before, right? But there are things you can do. Information is your friend. I tell my clients, if you're thinking about divorce, get your hands on as much information as you can now, because it may magically disappear when you go and file for divorce. Tax returns, financial statements, retirement statements, bank accounts, credit card statements. All of these are really important in financially preparing for divorce. The other thing that you might not think about, but that I have really had success with for my clients, is getting a financial planner who specializes in post-divorce. So you have probably not been through a divorce before. Maybe you have, but there are a lot of things that you probably haven't thought of. I have several clients who have worked with a divorce certified financial planner and have discovered that what they need to live on after their divorce looks very different depending on how we divide the assets and what kinds of accounts they get. So we can work really closely with a financial planner to get the best outcome in your case for you. But as with basically everything in life, information and preparation is everything when it comes to financially planning. If you're thinking about getting a divorce, make yourself a checklist or ask us for a checklist of documents that you want to gather before you pull the trigger. So tax returns and pay stubs are very important. They're going to help you determine child support and alimony. Those are two major issues in your divorce. You also want to get any retirement account statements for as far back as you possibly can go. You're going to want to get credit card statements and bank statements. Those are sort of the first initial tier of financial documents that we will need to assess your case. If you and your spouse or just your spouse have recently applied for any type of loan with a bank or financial institution, please get a copy of the financial application, the financial statement that was filled out for that bank. A lot of times people want to present themselves in the most financially favorable light when they're applying for a loan, but then all of a sudden when they're going through a divorce, they want to say they don't have any assets anymore. I have won a lot of cases showing that somebody represented their income on a financial statement immediately prior to filing a divorce, and they obviously have money that maybe they didn't disclose. If you have any other particular documents, particularly if somebody has a business, if your spouse is an owner or partial owner of a small business, they may have like a QuickBooks file that you have access to because you've helped them with it through the years. You can bet your access to that is going to disappear when you file for divorce. So if you are able to get your hands on business documents like profit and loss statements, assets and liabilities, business tax returns, those can be super helpful when you're going through divorce. If you're going through a divorce and you have children, and you are concerned that there's going to be a dispute over custody or visitation, it certainly would not hurt to get school records of your children, not just their grades, but showing maybe who pays the tuition, who goes to the parent-teacher conferences, who has the most contact back and forth with the school. Medical records can also become important. For instance, if your child is 10 years old and the other spouse has taken them to the doctor 2 times in their life and you've taken them the rest of the time, that's going to be reflected in their medical records as documented by the doctor. Your lawyer may have to subpoena these records for you too, but once we know what's there, then we know if it's worth it to go ahead and subpoena the records. A lot of times children are in counseling, and it's a hot button legal issue right now as to whether we can get a hold of a child's counseling records. There are unsettled cases dealing with that. If you think custody is going to be an issue and you are able to obtain a copy of your child's counseling records, that could become really important later, even though you might be hesitant to invade their privacy. If the ultimate goal is protecting them and what you are doing is to keep them safe, you've got to keep the big picture in mind. Choosing a lawyer is a lot like choosing a therapist because you have to trust us to make decisions for you and help you make decisions that are really hard and are going to affect the rest of your life. You have to feel extremely comfortable with me as a person. I'm a professional and I'm not here to be your friend. I am here to give you my brutal, informed, honest opinion in a kind way and help you get through what can be the most difficult transition of your life and get to the other side and prosper. If you don't feel like your lawyer is the right person to help you do that, then you don't need to go with them. If you're in the divorce process and you want to go and just shed blood and you don't care what the consequence is, you just want to punish the other side, there are plenty of lawyers out there that can help you do that. We're just not one of them. And what we're going to help you do is find a way to get the best outcome for you and your family with the most integrity in the most responsible way. So when you're choosing a divorce lawyer, you want to make sure you ask questions about how they approach their divorce cases. Because if it's not aligned with what you need to go a different direction. If you have any questions about preparing for divorce, please contact Empowered Family Law.